Hello and welcome to another episode of American English. I am Arshad. Today we'll be discussing about a very important topic, that is how to learn English grammar. Most of my students ask me this questions: what are the most important components that we have to focus on in order to be fluent in English? So your language journey begins here. First of all, the greater part of the world's troubles are due to questions of grammar. We would not be able to understand each other without grammar. I could not possibly help you with your English if there were no grammar rules. Language itself would not exist without grammar. But what exactly is grammar? Let's have a look. Every time we speak, write, read, or listen to something, we are using one or more components of the grammar of a language. Now let us try to find out what actually the grammar is. Grammar is the set of rules that controls the sounds, words, phrases, and sentences in a language. It is the system of a language, and it gives language structure. In other words, everything that happens within a language is ruled by grammar. Now let us look at some of the important components of English grammar. What constitutes the English grammar? But before that, I want you to understand some of the important terminologies. The terminologies are as follows. One is phonology. What do you mean by this? Well, phonology talks about how a language organizes its sounds. We have another term called morphology. It talks about how words are formed and what the relationship between them is. We have syntax, how sentences are structured in a language. It talks about that. And we have phonemics. It talks about how humans produce and perceive sounds. And we have semantics. It talks about what words mean. It talks about the meaning of the words. Then we have another term called pragmatics, how context contributes to meaning. So all these things are controlled by the grammar of a language. To put it simply, every time we speak, write, read, or listen to something, we are using one or more components of the grammar of a language. You'll often hear that grammar is the glue that keeps the language together, or the skeleton that allows it to have a shape. Some people will say that grammar is boring, while for others like me, grammar is a passion. The truth is that no matter how passionate or not you are about grammar, you need to learn it in order to be fluent in a language, even your own. Well, let us talk about the importance of English grammar for learners. Now, when it comes to learning a foreign language, like English in your case, grammar is very important for many reasons. Well, the most important point is learning grammar rules pays off. If you had to memorize every single sentence in the English language, you would go crazy. By learning a set of core rules like word order or when to use each tense, you'll have a series of templates to use in order to create an infinite number of sentences as you learn more words. Have a look at the next examples, which all have same sentence structure. He's a good student. Well, in this sentence, you see there are three main components. One is the subject, another one is a verb, and an object. And let's look at the other example. My parents bought a red car. Again, you see the same thing, subject plus verb plus object. Let's look at some more examples. None of my friends will be having a birthday party. The man in the yellow hat and the blue jacket has found a pink tiny house by the lake. Again, in the sentence, you see the same thing, like subject plus verb and then object. Now, the other importance of English grammar for learners are like the grammar will help you communicate. By learning English grammar, you'll be able to speak in English correctly and avoid making mistakes. This will allow you to say what you really want to say and help other English speakers understand what you mean. Alright, so that's why grammar is really very important. Grammar is important to communicate. Now, grammar makes a difference actually. Now, it does not matter how many thousands of words you know in English. If you do not know grammar, you'll not be able to use them. Learning grammar is what will let you go from beginner to fluent. Alright? Now, proper grammar will make you look smart. Absolutely. Now, imagine writing a cover letter only to discover you have been rejected because of the dozens of mistakes you made. The same letter, if written properly, could land you the job. The same goes for school and university classes, talking to strangers on the street or ordering food. Learn grammar, look smart. Now let us look at another important point, that is again another importance of English grammar. Grammar will take you places. Of course, you can travel the world not knowing a single word of English, but isn't it more fun and enjoyable if we travel to an English-speaking country and we can understand what is going on around us? This would be possible without grammar. Grammar will improve all your major language skills. The 4 major language skills are speaking, writing, reading, and listening. Add vocabulary and all these 6 language components. Add vocabulary and grammar to them and you'll get a whole language. All these 6 language components are interrelated, that is related to each other. So when you get better at one, you get better at all, or you get better at all of them. Yes. Use grammar to your advantage and boost your language skills to the next. What are the elements of English grammar? Now, this is again very important point which we'll have to answer. Now, the reason or the purpose of making this video is to give you the information about the very important components. What are the components it has? So let us look at some of the important components of English grammar. Every grammar consists of a series of elements that are its building blocks. These elements put together form the language you and I use every day. There are many ways of categorizing or dividing into categories the elements of English grammar. Okay. The following division is just one example of many, but one that will help English learners make a solid map of English grammar in their minds. Note that you do not need to memorize these elements of grammar. I am starting with these because they will help you get a better understanding of what grammar is and the journey you have ahead of you to learn it. Now, first of all, core sentence elements. Now, core sentence elements. Every word in a sentence has its own function. Each language has different sentence formation and word order rules. But when it comes to core sentence elements and their functions, pretty much every language in the world includes the same. subject, predicate, object, direct and indirect, prepositional, complement. Let us look at what is a subject. Subject, this is a person or animal, thing, or place performing the action in the sentence. Predicate, this expresses the action of the sentence. It includes the verb and it can include other core elements. Now let us look at what is an object. Object, this is a pronoun or noun phrase on which a verb performs an action. Objects can be direct or indirect. Direct, they receive the action of the verb directly. Indirect, they are the recipient of the action. And prepositional, they are governed by a preposition. Complement, this is a word, phrase, or clause that is necessary to complete the meaning of a sentence. It is normally divided into subject complements and object complements. Subject complements, they follow a linking verb and complement the subject of the sentence. And the object complements, they follow a direct object and complement it by describing it. We have adjunct as well. There are parts of the sentence that can be removed without affecting the rest of the elements of the sentence or its meaning. Phrases and clauses. When we arrange words in a sentence, we are building phrases and clauses. Phrases. They are a group of words that go together and express some kind of concept. English includes, among others, noun phrases, a noun and its modifiers, example, the black bottle. Verb phrases, a verb and its modifiers, example, we're waiting patient. Prepositional phrases, they are governed by a preposition, example, on the table. Gerund phrases, they start with a gerund, example, to study English. Clauses. What are clauses? Well, clauses are very often mistaken for sentences. Sometimes a sentence indeed has only one clause, but it can also have two or more. Clauses are groups of words that contain a subject and a predicate. Clauses from sentences, when they are put together, they can be independent, dependent. Okay? So let us look at what is an independent clauses. Independent clause, they can exist on their own. They are what we normally call simple sentences. Example, she likes the taste of cheese. And let us look at the dependent clause. Dependent clauses, they cannot exist on their own, so they need an independent clause in order to form a complete sentence. Example, even though she likes the taste of cheese. An example of a complex sentence which contains at least two clauses is, even though she likes the taste of cheese, she hasn't eaten any since 2012. Where even though she likes the taste of cheese is the dependent clause, and she hasn't eaten any since 2012 is the independent clause. Now, another important component of English grammar is parts of speech. Parts of speech is a fancy expression to mean what every word functions as in a sentence. Depending on what a word is and what its function is, functions as in the sentence. It can be classified as one or more of the following categories. Nouns. These are the names of people, animals, things, places, ideas, and concepts. For example, father, dog, cub, school, love, infinity, etc. Pronouns. These replaces nouns. For example, she, her, hers, herself, everything, no one, etc. Verbs. These express an action or state. For example, go, goes, went, has gone, was going, has been gone, etc. Adjectives. These modify and describe nouns, pronouns, and other adjectives. For example, intelligent, green, bored, exhausting, infinite, etc. Adverbs. These modify a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. For example, very, well, quickly, bad, alright, etc. So these are the examples of adverbs. Now prepositions. Now let us look at prepositions. Prepositions, these are normally placed in front of a noun or pronoun to form a phrase. For example, on, in, at, before, about, from, etc. Conjunctions. These join words. Conjunctions join words, phrases, and clauses together. For example, and, or, but, because, etc. Interjections. These are words that are used to express emotions. For example, oh, wow, hey, oops, etc. Very often words that are by definition in one category. For example, a noun can belong to another category in certain contexts, like an adjective. For instance, Mary loves history. History is a noun here. Mary is a history teacher. History is a noun functioning as an adjective here. Now let us look at word order. Word order refers to the internal pattern of a language. Different languages use different patterns. This is something which is very important here. Understanding the word order pattern of a language is very important for learners because that is how you build grammatically correct sentences. This is not only important because you want your sentences to be grammatically correct, but also because if your words follow the wrong order, they can sound confusing, be difficult to understand, or mean something different from what you intended. The word order pattern of English is subject, verb, and object. This simply means that in order to build a basic grammatically correct sentence in English, you have to put the subject first, then the verb, and finally the object. Or modifiers if there are any. Now I can give you some examples so that you can understand it better. My dad is smiling. My dad is a subject. Is smiling is a verb. My dad loves cheese. My dad is a subject. Loves is a verb. Cheese is an object. So subject, verb, object. Another example, my dad wrote you a letter. Here, my dad is a subject. Wrote is a verb. You a letter is an object. My dad thinks you had this weather. Again, the same thing. Now, different types of sentences in English use different orders. For example, negative sentences follow this order: subject plus negated verb plus object. For example, my dad doesn't like cheese. So my dad is a subject. Doesn't like is a negative verb. Cheese is an object. Questions follow this order. auxiliary or helping verb plus subject plus verb plus object, or verb plus subject plus object. For example, does your dad like cheese? Does is auxiliary verb. Your dad, that is a subject. Like is a verb. Cheese is an object. There are other word order rules to remember, like the fact the adjective almost always come before the noun. After you have mastered the grammatical rules for word order, you can start getting into the unwritten informal rules that just sound right. So having said this, we have completed today's session in which I have covered the most important grammatical components you need to study in order to be fluent in English. And I'm going to share some of the most important, the steps that you need to follow in order to speak fluent English in my upcoming videos. So please do subscribe my channel if you're new to my channel, and hit the like button if you like the video. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Take care. Bye for now.